Hello, and thank you for joining me for today's yoga sequence. Today we're going to be doing poses directly from the mat in a seated position. They're meant to open up your hips and your lower back, and they're also meant to lengthen the muscles behind your legs. So let's get started. Let's start from a seated position. Extend your legs straight out in front of you on the mat. Sit up nice and tall. Engage your sits bones. You can feel your sits bones in the mat. Don't hunch over. You don't want this position where you're sitting on your tailbone. You want to actually sit on those sits bones. Also flex your toes. Make sure those toes are pointed straight up to the sky. You're going to feel that nice lengthening in the backs of your legs. We'll start with head to knee pose. So let's bend your right knee. Bring the sole of your foot to the inside of your thigh and then let your knee fall off to the side. Bring the sole of your foot to the inside of your left thigh. Plant your fingertips in the mat, framing your left leg. So your right fingertips are in front of your shin. Your left fingertips are to the outside of your left knee. Bring those shoulders back and down, take a deep inhale, and then exhale. Start to walk yourself forward toward your foot. Now, couple options here. If you are not totally flexible, that's perfectly fine. You can just sit up a little bit taller. This might be enough for you, and you can still feel this behind your leg. If you can get a little bit deeper into this pose and walk those hands all the way down to touch the bottom of your feet, that's fine. Remember, listen to your body. Whatever your body says is where you should be. Now pay attention to your lower back. If you feel like your lower back is being strained, just lift your head slightly and look at the tips of your toes. Let yourself relax in this pose. Continue to flex that foot, feeling the stretch in the muscles behind your legs. This helps to lengthen those muscles. If you sit all day, they might be very tight. So this is a really good pose to help lengthen and stretch out those muscles, giving you a little bit more flexibility. Take a nice deep inhale and walk yourself back up to a seated position. Staying right where you are, keep your right leg where it is, bend your left knee, rotate it at the hip, and bring the sole of your right foot to the top of your left thigh. From a head-on angle, it should look like this, a little bit of a zigzag leg, but you'll continue to face forward on the mat. So the sole of your right foot is up against the top of your left thigh. Rotate your torso so that you're lined up with the inside of your right thigh. Plant your fingertips in the mat, framing your leg. So your left fingertips are in front of your shin, your right fingertips are above your thigh. Bring your shoulders back and down, sitting up nice and tall. Take a deep inhale, and then exhale. Begin to walk yourself forward, leaning into the inside of your thigh. You want to line up with your knee, gearing toward your knee. And stop wherever you feel comfortable. So this might feel really good for you with the palms of your hands planted into the mat. If that feels good, stay here. Otherwise, you can bend your elbows and rest your forearms on the floor. Or you can extend those arms all the way out in front of you and completely fold over your right leg. If this feels good but you don't like your head lying all the way down on the ground, you can make fists with your hands and stack them, and then rest your forehead on the tops of your fists. Now each level of this pose, zigzag legs, works for different areas. So if you're in this pose where you're completely bent over, this is helping to open up your hips. If you're in this position where your forearms are on the mat, then it's helping to open up your lower back. If you have a tight lower back, this is a great posture to take. If you have sciatica, if you're in a seated position all day and you can feel a pinch in your sciatic nerve, this is a great option for you. Sitting up just a little bit taller, this is a nice stretch for that sciatic nerve. So take whatever variation feels comfortable for you. No matter where you are now, take a deep inhale, walk yourself completely up into a seated position, stay right where you are. We're going to take a twist from this position. Take your right hand and just reach it across to your left thigh, either your knee or your thigh, but you want to be able to sit up nice and tall. We don't want to reach or hunch our back. Sitting up nice and tall, take your left hand and place it just behind the small of your back, coming into a gentle twist and looking over your left shoulder. So I'm going to turn and look at the camera, but you continue to look over your left shoulder. So this pose gives you a nice gentle twist for the back of your spine, for the lower part of your back, for your spine, helping to increase blood flow to your spine. Take a nice deep inhale. As you exhale, let's release that twist. Staying facing forward, I'm going to turn and face the camera. Let's swing that left leg around and bring the soles of your feet together, coming into butterfly pose. Interlace your fingers and cup your toes, or place the palms of your hands anywhere along your shins or at your ankles. Now pay attention to how you feel in butterfly pose. If for some reason your hips are a little bit tighter and this is uncomfortable for you, all you need to do is release that pose, extend your feet a little bit further out from you, and then just sit up nice and tall. That should take some of that pressure off of your hips. If it feels really good, you can bring those feet in just a little bit closer to your body and sit up nice and tall in butterfly. So a couple cautions with butterfly. I always tell my students not to flap your wings. Even though we're butterfly, we don't want to flap our wings. Your knees are a little bit heavier than the insides of your legs, and you don't want to pull any muscles on the insides of your legs. So we like to sit up nice and tall, but we don't flap. We sit comfortably in this pose. You should also rest so that your shoulders are back and down with really nice posture in this pose. Continuing to breathe, taking a nice deep inhale. As you exhale, let's release the pose. Stay here. We're going to rotate to our left. Place your right hand on the top of your knee. Your left hand goes just behind the small of your back. A nice gentle twist for the lower part of your back. Deep inhale. Exhale. Let's come back to center and then pass through. Your left hand now goes on your right knee. Your right hand goes just behind the small of your back. Deep inhale. Exhale. Let's rotate back to center. Come over to the other side. Do another twist to your left. Right hand is on your knee. Left hand is just behind your back. Nice deep inhale. Exhale. Let's rotate back to center. Passing to the other side. Left hand goes on your knee. Right hand helps you to sit up nice and tall in this twist. Nice deep inhale. And exhale. Release. Coming back to center. Okay, we're going to go back into that same pose that we started from. So extend your legs straight out on the mat. Now we're going to do this on the opposite side. So let's bend your left knee, sole of your foot to the inside of your thigh. Let your knee fall down to the left-hand side. The sole of your left foot is to the inside of your right thigh. Plant those fingertips into the mat, shoulders back and down, deep inhale. And as you exhale, walk yourself forward, coming into a forward bend. Making sure to flex your feet so that your toes are facing up to the sky. Now pay attention to your body. You might be a little bit deeper or maybe not as deep in this version of the pose as you were on the opposite side. And that's perfectly normal. Your body holds on to stress experiences in different ways throughout your body. And it shows in muscle tightness or muscle soreness. It limits your ability when you go into poses like this. It's perfectly normal. It's perfectly fine. I can go a little bit deeper on the other side than I can on this side. Also, very important to note in this pose, we don't want to reach over and try to touch our toes from the top. Don't bring your shoulders up to your ears. That's going to strain your lower back. Try to keep your hands down to the side or reaching straight up in front of you, not going over, keeping your shoulders back and away from your ears. Nice deep inhale. Let's walk yourself back up into a seated position, keeping your left leg where it is. Now let's rotate your right leg at the hip. The sole of your right foot is lined up with your left thigh. I'm going to rotate slightly. Let's go into zigzag legs again. So place your right hand in front of you, your left hand off to the side, deep inhale, and then exhale. Start to walk yourself forward. Resting at whatever spot feels comfortable for you on zigzag legs on this side, whether it's on your forearms, extending those arms all the way out, or even sitting up nice and tall, knowing that you might not feel comfortable on the same side over here as you did when we did this on the opposite side a few moments ago. Remembering that your body holds stress differently, and you might need to work on different areas or lengthen or strengthen different areas on different sides of your body. So another great benefit to this pose is that it's very relaxing. This is a pose that you can do before bedtime to help yourself to fall asleep, to help yourself to relax. It's a nice way to end your day and just kind of forget about all the stress that you went through or any issues that you might have run into or any last minute emails that you forgot to send. It's a really good way to let your brain just kind of float off for the night. Okay, take a deep inhale, walk yourself back up into a seated position. Let's go into a twist on the other side. So let's take your left hand, place it onto your right knee. Right hand goes just behind the small of your back, coming into a nice gentle zigzag twist. A very nice lower back opener. This is a great pose to do for anyone. You can get into this very gently. If you have a tight lower back, you don't need to extend fully into this pose. You can just come slightly over the center part of your body, leaning a little bit more toward your right shin. Continuing to breathe, nice deep inhale. And exhale. Let's release the twist. Let's come back into butterfly pose. Let's bring those feet together once again. I'm going to show you a really cool option to do when we're in butterfly. So a number of us probably wear flip-flops regularly, even though we know that we're probably not supposed to wear flip-flops because your feet kind of grasp the bottom of the shoes regularly. So your toes are constantly curling, and it's not great for your toes. But I have a wonderful pose to help open up those toes. So you're going to take your opposite hand and reach it to your opposite foot, coming in underneath your foot, and then interlace those fingers between each of your toes. I'm a runner, and I love to do this to help to open up the fascia in the front of my feet. I do so much running, and I put a lot of strain on my feet that this just feels really good. So once your fingers are interlaced, and it might take a little while if you don't do this regularly, your toes are probably a little bit tighter. Once they're interlaced, you can wiggle your hands around and try to really get some movement into the top of your feet. It's a great way to really open up that fascia. Oh, once in a while you can feel your feet pop, and that's okay. Popping does not mean that you're old. It's an energy release, and it feels really good. So this is a nice way to just kind of massage the front of your feet. Sorry, massaging the front of your feet. Okay, let's release the interlace in our toes. Let's interlace our fingers and cup our toes once again, or place your hands anywhere along your shins. Let's sit up nice and tall. We're gonna flow through a butterfly forward bend. Nice deep inhale, looking up to the sky, and exhale, bending forward, chest down towards your toes. Inhale, coming back up, looking up to the sky. Exhale, bend your elbows, bring your chest down towards your toes. Inhale, coming back up, looking up to the sky. Last time, exhale, bend your elbows, bring your chest down towards your toes, and let yourself relax in a forward bend. Try to keep your back straight. You don't necessarily need to continue to look forward. You can let your head fall slightly, just looking a little bit ahead of your feet. You don't want to curl your head all the way down and look at the backs of your feet, but just look slightly ahead of you on your mat. Now there's a couple options here. You can let your hands continue to rest on the tops of your feet. If this feels comfortable for you, go right ahead and stay here. You can reach a little bit deeper into this pose. You can reach those arms straight out in front of you. This is going to work on your lower back a little bit more. You might start to feel a little bit more of a pull, a little bit more of an extension in your lower back. You can also reach your arms in from the front, bring your arms in underneath your shins, and then let your fingertips touch behind your heels. This is a little bit more of a tightening pose. You can maybe feel a little bit more tightness in your lower back and in your hips when you do this. This works on the insides of your hips. On the opposite side, you can also reach those arms from behind your shins and reach your hands out, letting your forearms rest on the mat. Some people can get pretty deep into this pose and really extend those arms straight out. But this is enough to really release your lower back. This one really focuses on your lower back. Or once again, you can just let yourself relax in this position. This is a wonderful pose just to sit in regularly. It really is wonderful for your hips. It really strengthens all of the major organs that fall from the bottom of your rib cage all the way to the tops of your hips, and it's a very relaxing pose. You can just let your head fall slightly, letting yourself relax. Take a nice deep inhale. Let's come up into a seated position, and let's cross at the ankles. We're going to go into a movement called Sufi circles. This is a really wonderful pose to do to help move some energy throughout your body and really release some tightness in your lower back. So going in whatever direction you feel most comfortable, take a deep inhale. Let your body weight shift back. You're just leaning back at your hips. And then as you exhale, start to make circles with your torso. You're rotating at the hips. Start to make circles with your torso. Very slow. So there's a lot of different variations that you can do with this posture. And this is, I love this one so much for so many reasons. This is great to really open up your lower back. If your lower back is tight from being in a seated position, it's a really good way to get energy moving throughout your body. You can do this in a chair. If you're on a road trip, you can do this in the car. If you're on an airplane, you can do this on an airplane as well. Just getting this nice little movement helps to increase blood flow to your back, helping to get some movement into it, helping to reduce that tightness. One word of caution, if you do this on an airplane, make sure you know your neighbors, or just like make smaller circles so that you don't bump into them. But the great thing about this movement is you can go as quickly or as slowly as possible in this. You can also close your eyes. So if you're going to move slowly, closing your eyes as long as you don't get dizzy is wonderful. It helps to relax your mind, and it helps to keep your heart rate low. Now, if you want to build up heat or build up energy or increase your heart rate, moving a little bit faster could be a good option for you as well. Now, wherever you are, pause and then start to move in the opposite direction. Inhaling as you come back, exhaling as you move forward. Now, you can probably feel a little bit of a difference in this direction than you could in the other direction. You're just moving your body in another way. This is also wonderful for your hips, really helps to open up your hips as you're shifting your weight back and forth. Now, this pose, if you have a tight back, you don't have to make circles that are that big. You can go nice and slow, nice and gentle. If you really want to open up that back and it's really flexible, you can really get some very big circles in this. This pose also helps to move digestion along in your body. You're helping to massage all of your internal organs and helping to digest your food and your experiences throughout your body. So this is a nice pose to do maybe after Thanksgiving dinner or after a really big meal that you've had. Continuing to breathe, nice deep inhale. Let's come back into a seated position. Let's do one more posture. Let's extend those legs straight out in front of you. We're going to do a nice flowing movement, helping to generate a little bit of movement and heat in your body, getting that blood flowing, but moving nice and slow. So let's inhale, sweep those arms all the way up to the sky. Exhale, open your arms, swan dive down, bring your hands down towards your feet. Inhale, coming back up to a seated position, reach those arms all the way up. Exhale, open your arms, swan dive down, hands to your feet. Inhale, coming back up, reach those arms all the way up to the sky. Exhale, open your arms, swan dive down, hands to your feet. Inhale, coming all the way back up. Inhale, reach those arms all the way up to the sky. Exhale, open your arms, swan dive down, and let yourself relax in a forward bend. Paying attention to your body. Try to extend those toes straight up to the sky, flexing your feet. Try to have a flat back if possible, shoulders back and down. If you're pulling on your lower back, just lift your head slightly to look at the tips of your toes. Again, don't reach over. Try to reach under. This will keep your shoulders away from your ears. Continuing to breathe. If you can fold completely over comfortably, go right ahead and do that. But always listen to your body. If you're feeling more signs of distress than comfort, then you might be going a little bit too deep into this pose. So just pull back a little bit, let yourself sit comfortably. And if you are really determined to touch those toes, what you can do is we can do a little bit of a cheat. You can bend your knees slightly and you can reach down to grab those toes and see what it feels like to touch your toes every once in a while. Continuing to breathe, take a nice deep inhale. Let's slowly come up into a seated position. And that's where we'll end our session today. Thank you so much for joining me. I look forward to seeing you again. Namaste.